Hello, this is Cryptolyze. I hope you are well. This Monday, October 2, 2023, we meet today to talk about TRX, the crypto of the TRON blockchain. As usual, two parts. A fundamental part, we will explain what TRON is, its news, and then we will project ourselves in the short, medium, long term on purchase prices, sales prices, to fully understand what it means, and it begins right away. TRON is a tier 1 blockchain that has been around for a very long time. It is even a blockchain which was one of the first to actually offer the possibility of keeping cryptos, and in particular for centralized exchanges, especially Asian ones, and that is why it is widely used by Asian exchanges. So it is a level 1 blockchain which aims to set up and make functional building blocks available to developers to build decentralized applications. It's written anyway on their first page, decentralized internet. That's really the goal of TRON. So this is where I have a problem, already basic, because who is behind TRON? There's Justin Sun. Either way it shows, it's marked Sun Network, it's its own blockchain, and it's linked like that. Is it a real blockchain that is public? Yes, in fact, it is public. Is it 100% decentralized? Absolutely not. The majority of TRX holders are Justin Sun, and everything that revolves around that is Justin Sun. It's mainly powered by the different exchanges that are around TRON, and that's why I generally stay relatively far from TRON. When it's centralized around a single person, all it takes is for it to be stopped at any given moment to see the ecosystem collapse, and this is the risk that lies around Justin Sun. Besides that, we also have a character who is quite extravagant, who has little sides to SBF. Okay, so I'm not saying that he's a potential FTX, but in occurrence, he has little sides in which as soon as there is a problem, he says, listen, I have a few billion to give up if you want. I can buy back whatever you want, without necessarily taking action. And that's a little bit what bothers me, even if on the side we have a principle of blockchain, which is rather interesting, in which we have here the mainnet with side chains, which are interfaced with precisely the possibility of build app chains. That is to say, directly blockchains in which we can control applications or concentrate an application, therefore, which can be very practical, particularly in marketing a solution to companies. We see that they have relatively strong partnerships with Opera, Polynex, Samsung, BitTorrent. So we have things that are relatively heavy, which is rather logical when we look at the state of technology, because it is a technology which is very interesting. The problem I have is more Justin Sun, who is behind it, the distribution of TRX and the manipulation of the price, because the manipulation of the price is real. We will discuss it later. Then we have at the protocol level, we see that it is ranked second below Ethereum, particularly at the level with a TVL, which is relatively high, a TVL of 6 billion, and behind in volume with $429 million in volumes transited. So these volumes, which are relatively substantial, but which are linked mainly to transits, as I told you, of centralized exchanges, they use a lot precisely of TRON because there is control over Justin Sun, and therefore a lot of centralized exchanges which are in the field, well, in any case in the Asian zone, have relatively strong relations with TRON and therefore the TRON ecosystem. Speaking of ecosystem, we still have quite little, 25 protocols versus 918, 651, and 457 for Arbitrum. So we see that we still have a lot of margin. We have a lot of users because it is one of the protocols which is the oldest and which allowed for really cheap transactions. Now we still have better, we just have to monitor the TRON on the application side. But I don't think it's the protocol, and the desire to develop this protocol is to go look for the number of decentralized applications. So we're going to look at the technical analysis in which we have the first phase of accumulation, which was relatively long, with here a lot, which was carried out in March 2020, which gave us this bullish acceleration in 1 times in April 2021, in which we had a second retracement in November 2021. But we did not make a second ATH and a new bull run, unlike other cryptos in which we did have a first. Acceleration, second retracement, retest. So we are on a BCRST hop. We are going to replace correctly. It has shifted BCARST jump, in which we are currently in the sign of weakness, which is a form of lateralization, which is in the lower part, in which we have not yet really broken the AR. We have just made a small liquidity grab. Who was here, and moreover at that time, I don't know if you remember, we really had a very, very strong crisis at the level of Celsius, where there was also very strong pressure on the algorithmic stablecoin, which had been launched by Justin Sun. So a pressure where we tried to make a Terra Luna bis. And I told you that basically here it was okay. It was done on purpose to make those who actually wanted to pay very, very dearly. Short positions with the funding rate, and that we were going to swallow everything, and that even if we were going to retest, we were going to start increasing again on the TRX anyway, because it is manipulated and it simply prevents breaking key levels, which are here, the 45, 46. As soon as we enter, generally we are at the bottom of the range. We are going to look for the top of the range, and it is held by Justin Sen. So these are my personal allegations, and this is in any case my own theory, which is that it is made here in this zone there because we are in the same FTX situation in a certain way. That is to say that there is a large part of Justin Sen's fortune which is linked to TRX. So not only that, we agree there are many other objectives, but many are linked to TRX, and many leveraged positions are linked to TRX. So if we ever have a TRX that sinks, it could be very complicated for certain protocols, and in particular Justin Sen. So for me, it's held in this zone, really. It's these two limits, 38 and 46, are really the two zones in which, if we ever venture into it, it can be an opportunity to purchase to fetch higher, even if technically we should have an interest in fetching lower, okay, until 18. But when we are in a course that is manipulated, well, it is logical that we do not go there, and it is logical that we stay in that zone and that we are in this lateralization phase in which we are going to retest the upper part, in which we have here a big price call at 9 to then potentially retrace and breathe to get a new retest, here of 55, which for me would be a zone of relatively interesting attraction here, in which there we can ask the question, is it worth taking TRX? It will depend on whether you are truly aware of the risks linked to the person of Jeff Simpson and what's happening around that. Yes, it may be worth it because I think it's an asset that will be forced up. So on that, it's linked to manipulation on an upcoming liquidity injection. But it can also be worth it to be an asset in which we will mainly trade because we know that there are levels which are low where we will not break down, where in any case there are very little probability, or if we ever break down, that implies that we end up on a Justin Sen who becomes an SBF and therefore an FTX biz without it being the volume of FTX, et cetera, et cetera. But that does not prevent us from arriving at something which is relatively harmful for cryptos, and we will have a big actor because we must not hide. Even if I am not necessarily a big fan of the character, he is someone who has done a lot for crypto, who has invested enormously. So that means that he has a huge share everywhere. And so we would have an impact that would be very strong. What can we set as a bullish target? Bullish target is interesting because we really have the schematic wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, wave 4, wave 5. So we could have a TRX with a new ATH to potentially look for a wave 5 here, which could go and retest the 0.25 to get the 0.25. Like target, that seems coherent to me. We are around, I believe, 7-8 billion market cap at the time I shoot this video. That would quite easily push us into the 30-40, which would be completely logical in relation to the general state of the TRX. Afterwards, is it something that will grow infinitely higher? I want to tell you no, because it is not a public blockchain. It is not a blockchain which aims to be a truly public decentralized blockchain, which pushes decentralized applications. So it is, for me, the in-between. And when we are in the in-between, it is something that will work for a certain time, but which will not have the potential burst. And speaking of potential, this idea of potential is relatively weak. That is to say that we are not traced. We have not retraced to look for very interesting reloading zones, like here the 0.015, the 0.015 to get here a 0.015. At that moment, we were on an X10 without a new ATH. At that moment, we would have had a potential which is relatively strong. I think there are other assets that are more interesting than TRX to seek performance, and a question of risk, also of risk control. Afterwards, once again, it's your own decision and it's your own analyses. Just be careful of the price manipulations that you can have, particularly on the TRX. In any case, I hope you liked this video. If so, don't forget to leave me a like and a comment, and we'll see you tomorrow at 7 p.m. for the daily.